Cool. So, this is the first announcement for TELUM FATALEM. So, this is a game that I've been working on for the better half of 2 years now. Well, I say the better half. It has been pretty much entirely 2 years. This is adapted from a book that I wrote when I was 12 years old, and I got sort of miffed at our junior school library. There wasn't enough books that I wanted to read, so I decided to write a book. It was not very good. Please do not go looking for it. It has some interesting points of view that is to be expected from a 12-year-old. But this is me sort of wanting to take that story and change it up a little bit. Go from a more modern sensibility, but still retain that sort of sense of childlike wonderment. We will have a bit of a jump in, and I will let you know what it is all about. So basically it is a 2D role-playing game, riffing off the styles of Final Fantasy, Breath of Fire, Legend of Dragoon, that sort of stuff. So it's the sort of stuff that a lot of people grew up with. Especially myself, I grew up playing, the old Final Fantasies on the PS1, and I always appreciated those huge worlds. But most of all, I appreciate the characters. I think that's always been sort of the draw with me, with any game. And so having that focus there is a big part of it. Of course, a lot has changed in between the periods between stuff like Final Fantasy VI, for example, and stuff like, Persona, Nier Automata, Mass Effect. There's a big... RPGs have evolved, and I'd also like to take quite a few of those sensibilities in with me, and with the team making it happen. Hello, Wreck-It Rio. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the announcement. It's lovely to have you here. I'm just going to add you to the most recent subscriber. Lovely to have you here, man. Thank you so much. So that's the approach that we want to go for. Something that feels very classic, but riffs on a lot of the ideas first presented in stuff like Final Fantasy, the original Personas, stuff like that. And you'll see a lot of that reflected in the characters. So that's why there's going to be such a strong push for the characters. When you see me talking about this game, you'll see me talking about the characters a lot more than you will the story, because, of course, we'll start off very, shall we say, predictable, and veering off into stuff that is less so. But unfortunately, I can't talk about that stuff without sort of giving the game away. And then finally, we're going to talk about the combat, because what is a game without actual gameplay? So this is what we have so far. This has been the subject of a couple of years of work. So you'll see a little bit of, your classic volumetric fog, a little bit of dynamic lighting. That's a nice little inclusion as part of the Game Maker community. Thankfully, there's a very thriving community that's sort of helped me create what I have so far. So, to just show where these places are, what sort of world you're going to be stepping into here, in the top left corner, you see Villaport, which is a portside city, surprisingly, that is under the thumb of someone called the Pig, which is sort of functions as a mafia boss. And you sort of have to approach that, see what the issue is there. Veteris, which is in the top right corner, is a sort of steampunk neon cyber city that is the elven, basically the elven hometown. So everything's covered by fog. You see a lot of the toll of what the magic is. The energy, the magic being used as a primary form of energy in this game. So you sort of see the toll that has on the citizens, and is also like a very big point of change for the game, which is sort of why I've decided to go with that sort of steampunk style. This is a town that's in a state of flux. It's a town that it is itself changing while you yourself change. Then in the bottom left corner, we have the city of Beldorn. This is the capital city of Draconova, which is one of the islands. So in this world, it is most of the land masses are what would essentially be classed as islands, because the initial fight that took out the big bad basically tore this nation asunder. So instead of full-on continents, you have all these sunken areas that went to ground 1,000 years ago. But this is, of course, the capital city of the island that you start off in, Draconova. It's also the hometown of one of the characters, and is where the king of Draconova lives. A lot of stuff happens there. I won't go into too much there, but that is also another favorite spot of mine. And then finally we have the Tower Heaven's Touch, which is a sky-reaching tower that, basically literally ascends all the way up into the heavens. It has a lot of history based around the dragons that disappeared a full century ago. And you also have a lot of history based around the Turfling, which is a legendary sword that sealed away the ancient evil back in the day. So it has a lot of significance, a lot of lore significance there. Now, these are only, small glimpses of cities that are already in the game. Ronus has already been made. Justpak has already been made. What else? Lake Loft has already been made, and I can't wait to sort of go into those a little bit more with you. So, let's go into our characters. So this, to answer your question there, mate, the price of this will be, we're looking at around about 15, maybe 17.50. That is, so this will be a one-time payment. If there's any major updates, I might look at DLC, but that is far and away. I want to create, we all want to create a complete game that is a one-time payment, and you pay to play the game, pay to play the product, classic, old school, that sort of stuff. That's what I grew up with, so that's what I want to do. Give me 1 sec. I'm just going to quickly change up something, because I realize that the chat isn't actually on. So give us 1 moment. We'll be back to our scheduled programming in a moment. So this is where I make a big boo-boo. So in the initial stream, I changed over to a different OBS. Out of habit, I've opened up OBS Studio. I do have Streamlabs OBS. But for whatever reason, I haven't set up Streamlabs OBS to actually record my stream. So I did not record the rest of this stream, which is a shame, because it was good fun. But I will now be doing my best to recreate the stream, to give everyone the same information and answer some questions that did show up during the stream. So yeah, I guess there's no accounting for human stupidity there. So back on with the show. So here we have Lankin Darman, who is, like a lot of characters, a riff on a trope that you see commonly within JRPGs. It's not really from the point of view of wanting to like lampshade this stuff or to drastically change it, but to more take this base idea and then riff on it, to take it in a direction that I think is interesting. So you take the base outline of the trope. So here Lankin is given this overwhelming responsibility in the form of, you know, this ancient weapon called the Turfling. He has few family ties for reasons that will be explored within the game. Is he an orphan? Who knows? And then, of course, you know, that personality of, you know, having this inflated ego and, you know, just a little bit just fun-loving sort of guy. I actually blanked on the initial stream about which character would apply to it. And even now I'm blanking on it, but you know the type. So yeah. So not much more can be said about how I plan on messing with this without giving too much of the game away. But just rest assured that if you think you know these characters, you do know them at a base level. But the way that we're hoping to riff on them is to flesh them out. So yeah, hopefully you'll see more of that in the characters to come. For example, Nimbus. Now Nimbus is, for example, a riff on the mascot type. So Nimbus Fever the Third is very similar to Persona 4's Teddy, Persona 5's Morgana, Monster Hunter Felines, Atelier's Punies, Final Fantasy's Moogles, that sort of stuff. You know, a very cutesy character who, goddamn, can sell a lot of plush toys. And he is the de facto mascot of TELUM FATALEM, I will say that. But he does not exhibit most of the traits that you'd find within a usual mascot. But incidentally is also very indicative of what the mascots represent. They just represent the game they're from. So Nimbus, you'll find, is quite morally grey. He is essentially a bad guy who tries his best to do good, but yeah, just his past keeps on coming after him. And that becomes a major thing that you'll find in the first major part of the game. And of course, you know, you see him sort of navigating the scars left by his time of service to the big bad Uzael. Now, there will be more characters coming up in future updates, probably not like a character with every single update, but at the very least, looking at, you know, having a steady stream of characters to sort of get hyped up about, to have a look at. But of course, they will be coming up in later updates. So follow Team Fatalem on Twitter or follow TELUM FATALEM on Instagram in order to get those updates. So, enough of me rambling on about the different characters and locations. How about I actually put my money where my mouth is and we give this a go. So, please note that everything you see here is purely in beta. There's a lot of placeholder stuff. Most of the stuff that isn't placeholder is character art, certain systems, and some in-battle sprite art. At this stage, everything is subject to change, including that stuff that isn't technically in beta anymore. So, yeah, take everything here with a grain of salt, but this should at least give you a nice little cross-section of what the game is like. So, At the start of the game, you're given two options. You can either play in classic RPG style or modern RPG style. So classic RPG is you can only save at save points, you don't get a quest log, so you have to go basically from memory and clues around. There is going to be interactable indicators, mainly because I think they are something that should be included in every game. Make sure that you're not clicking on every surface, and make sure that you don't get frustrated. You know, it's good to have classic things, but not to get overly frustrated. And of course, you won't get any pop-up tutorials. You just go by the seat of your pants. You just hope that the game teaches you, and we'll do our best, of course, to teach you within the game. But of course, there are people that haven't played RPGs like this, and they're of course going to like the modern RPG style. Oh dear, I have been buzzed again. Arctic Sixpence, thank you for following, even though there is no stream to watch. At least I don't think so. No, I'm not even streaming right now. Someone just followed apropos of nothing. Hi. Anyway, so the modern RPG style gives you access to the save menu all the time, and it also has autosave. And you'll also be able to access an item which functions as a toggleable quest log. Same with the tutorials, you'll be able to toggle the tutorials on and off. Of course, that's stuff that will come later in production, when all the story has been sorted out, all the missions have been sorted out. So keep an eye on that, but that is at least the plan at this stage. Again, everything is subject to change. This is just the plan right now. So again, take everything here with a grain of salt. So to sort of show what I mean when we talk about this sort of stuff, we're going to go into modern. So we have our first placeholder graphic here. That is not what Lankin looks like. We've seen Lankin before. We know what he looks like. So that's to sort of keep it in mind. Now, I grew up playing all these games that you could just name your character something stupid like butt farts or D-bag or whatever. Just that small level of self-expression, and I love that. I love that stuff. And it's hard to do these days, but yeah, I love that concept, so I'm keeping that in here. You can name every single character as long as their name is 8 letters or less. So we are going to go with Catog. So now we get a nice view of the Tooth of Uzael. So this is a mysterious mountain that we have been tasked to climb. Now, we could go on with that knowledge, just like, oh cool, it's a mountain I am climbing right now. Or you also have access to the side story. So side stories sort of function as these little tidbits that I don't think are essential for the game, but are good in fleshing out the world and fleshing out characters, and also give a bit more context to certain events within the game. But if you just want to play the game, then these are totally optional. You alright after that, bud? Yeah. I suppose I was expecting a Juspec brawler to be, well, not me. Precisely. I pulled my punches, but a fight's a fight. Here, 200 lori, which is the currency in this world. You obviously need to get to know me better. What's your poison? I'm just going to quickly turn up the... No, we're all good there? Cool. What's your poison? After that, vodka. So, after that, Pern was nice enough to take me in. As long as I'm beating you brawlers, I've got room and board. But, since you were 10? Yeah, it's a bit dull now. Go on. Well, treasure hunting's my game now. Much more glory in it. So he says. I mean, it would be, if not for someone stopping me from going out of town. I've got nothing to do with it, boy. Find better jobs. Your only gig so far was spelunking in a sewer. A gig is a gig, eh? I'm sure it is. Find any nuggets down there? Better than some of the stuff you serve here, old man. Then, what's brawling to you? I don't know. Practice? I've still got my room pern. Yeah, go ahead. Hey, wait. I didn't mean... It's a decent job, tavern boy. I know, it's just not exactly what I then don't. It's not as simple as that. I've got to live, don't I? Then live. Leave. But do me a favor and do something you're proud of. Because nothing is more insulting to an honest brawler than being someone's Third vanishing this month, eh? No different from any other month. To Vedanta. To Vedanta. So yeah, that is... There are vanishings that happen in this world. Much like death, it's just completely random. No one knows why. Well, actually, they do know why. But that is, of course, explained later. So you don't know why. Anyway, so on to this mysterious figure that has appeared before us. An exemplary fight earlier. Thanks. Pardon my appearance. I just moved back to town and I'm not ready to be recognized. That's so. What's your trade, stranger? Merchant. I deal in curiosities and treasures. Treasures? What kind? Mainly their finding. I rely on hunters for my wares. If you're looking, I'm in the business. For less than half of a month. It just so happens I am looking. Here. The Tooth of Uzael? There have been rumors, but it's taken a while for me to know for sure. Hold your horses, Cadog. The tooth is... Sorry, wrong accent for this person. The tooth is far too dangerous, and there is no reason to trust this man. I wouldn't acquire a faulty map. That's bad investment. And what of my investment, stranger? My cousin Smythe went up there and never returned, searching for some fool treasure. I can't have my brawler disappear too. So it's real? Knowing Smythe, quite possibly. He was never one to go without all the facts. Nor am I. I admire your spirit, Catog. I admire your prowess in battle. I think if anyone can find the tooth's treasure, it's you. I'm going. Catog, please reconsider. Stop worrying, Pern. I'll be back in a week. You can think of a birthday present while I'm gone. The present will be moving boxes. Sure it will. Then at the very least, stay safe. Ooh, just a moment. Oh, dearie, dearie me. So yeah, so that just gives you a little bit of context to the scene, but if you wanted to jump straight in, that's completely fine. You can totally do that. So, actually we'll go up this way. So you can hold shift to run. You can interact with objects using the Z or Enter keys. Where Graham was a force of destruction, Turfling was her protection. Where Graham burst with energy and fire and light, the Turfling kept those virtues within. So we go up here, we can just do a little bit of rock climbing. So, with the story out of the way, let's have a look at gameplay. So, timed attacks. So in every battle, you have timed attacks. So this varies from character to character. In Lankin's case, we have the clock. So you aim at the brawler attacks. The aim with brawler attacks is to be precise with your blows. Hit the OK button in the highlighted area to hit your opponent with a perfectly landed strike. Gold spaces, double your output, and white spaces halve your output. So let's give this a go. So let's try this base attack. So I know it says Badger there. I know it is technically a rat, but you know what? I am tired of rats getting a bad rap in RPGs. Rats are cute, whereas badgers are evil. Badgers are aggressive creatures. Rats are adorable. And you know what? I'm going to change that out at some point to be a badger. Once I find someone that can draw a badger, or I have a monster designer. But know for a fact that rats will not be in there anymore. Down with this anti-rat bigotry. Anyway, mid rant, end that, and So we saw our normal attack there. And of course, we see that there are some enemies that will chase after us. Thankfully, that one there is blocked off by trees. But as you'll see later on, there are some that are not blocked off by trees. Let's have a look and see what cleave does. Well, now that we come across a badger that is level 2. So enemies will scale with you up to a point. So you will not go back to areas, like old areas, and find that there's like level 50 badgers in there. However, within a certain area, they will scale with you. It also means that you get some more XP, means you get more gold, and it means that you aren't bored with a certain area. But if you see that enemies are in a lower level than you, then chances are then this probably isn't the place you're meant to be. But it also means that, yeah, stuff's still a little bit balanced, but you can farm if you so desire. And of course, I managed to perfectly do that yellow, which I did not do in the stream. That it was terrible. So yeah. So yes, enemies will scale with you. You saw the gold thing in action. Okay, what's this guy gonna do? Okay. Okay, ghost now. Okay, let's take on these ghosts. Let's see what happens. Oh, cool. So, bad. So if you need to escape from battle, you can of course escape. Escaping has a pretty high rate of success. Oh no, go away, go away, go away, go away, go away, go away, go away. Oh jeez. But we will escape. And then of course they will despawn so you can get past, but only for a little bit. So yeah. So they'll despawn for a little bit of time and then they'll respawn. They will also respawn after a longer period of time when you properly kill them. But yeah, those are the options that you have there. Uzael and the Wielder did battle. Their struggle ripped the earth, creating the vistas, valleys, and mountains. So yeah, that's a little bit of a creation myth. There's a little bit of lore dumping, like this is the lore dump ruins strewn about here and there, and a very ominous tutorial. So we know that we have to press shift to dash. Okay, let's run. Come on, come on, come on, jump. It never gets old. Literally, I had someone in the stream ask me, you know, be honest, how many times have you laughed at that? And I was just like, every time. It's even better when people are playing the game and I'm watching them do it and they're just like, oh yes, I can jump. Okay, I can get out of here. Good, good, good. And then you just get my little gremlin laugh in the background when they fall down. So we seem to be relatively unscathed, kind of. Ooh, not really. We're down to 9 HP. But this also gives us a chance to look at the menu. So, okay. And, yes, this also happened in the stream. Be aware yeah, the fact that this is still definitely in beta. There's still a bunch of stuff that, yeah, is not exactly finished. It's functional, but not finished. The undead were drawn to her as she placed Turfling in the resting place. So we'll go into this tent here. And, get some 2 potions here. The Diary of King Baldric Squire Smythe. You're not fluent, but you can make out some words. My lord is on a mighty task. Exercising all his great wisdoms, he has found The locution of Turfling. It should be done within the month, and he will be the most... This must have been torn out. This place is odd. It has odd architecture, geometry. It is warm like spring, but then it grows colder. I feel like something has its eye inside me. King Baldric is dead. I did it with a shovel. I'm sorry, my king. I wanted to go. I said I wanted, but now I am happy. We are both happy. We will feed it. Feed it. Something fell out of the book. So yeah, a little bit of ominous eldritch stuff in there. So, and then we will go in here. So, we have a puzzle here now. Huh. Okay, that one's buzzer didn't go off. Well, I do know how this puzzle goes. But if you wanted to give this puzzle a go, or if you know the answer, I guess you'll have to prove it when we eventually release the demo. This, of course, will come in a future update. And yeah, will be available to our Patreon supporters, which, yeah, there'll be more information for that later in the video. But for now, we are going to stop it right there. That is the game so far. With much more, of course, behind the hood. But, well, sorry, under the hood, behind the curtain. But that, of course, will come with future updates. So, now that I've sort of shown you where the game is going, how it's looking, let's talk about moving forward. So, and the main reason that we're making the stream, making this announcement, all that sort of stuff. So, the two major factors while going forward is funding and support. Thankfully, the game is looking quite good right now, but it is also composed primarily of stuff that is available via storefronts, coming with the engine proper, and with a little bit of editing here and there, because I am not an artist by any means. Most of the art that you saw there, such as faces and battlers, are from commissioned artists, you know, professional artists that have put in their time, put in their money, put in their effort, to, yeah, create something for the game. And with enough active members and enough interested members, we could see an evolution. So, for example, you see what some of the stuff happens in this. So you see the original face set for Lankin be updated into what it is now. Same with Nimbus. He had something that was like an edited face that is freely available, to him looking much more like Nimbus. And of course you have battlers go from the generic style that comes with most games from this engine, the RPG Maker engine, be transformed into something new. And yes, I know that is a character I haven't mentioned, coming in a future update. So, funding and support will allow us to enlist talented artists and pay their commissions. I, of course, am, you know, games are an art form, and people are, of course, you know, put a lot of time and money and work into becoming professionals. And while exposure is a great thing, you can't pay rent with exposure. So, my goal with this is to give that exposure to a whole bunch of very talented artists, much more talented than anything I could ever hope to achieve, and also pay them for that exposure. Yeah, like pay what they deserve, because all artists deserve to be paid for what they've done. So that is the aim with any funding that would come through for TELUM FATALEM in its development. Also, we're looking to reach a larger audience. RPG Maker, especially in the dev community, has a little bit of a stigma because, like Unity, it is a breeding ground for people that might not put as much effort in. I am a huge believer in that it isn't the engine that makes the game, it is the developers. And I've seen some truly fantastic stuff come out of Unity and RPG Maker, and I think people are a little shocked when that sort of stuff does come out from that. Of course, the more that we can do to make this different from other RPG Maker games, to make it unique, to give it the closest to the vision that we want, as opposed to trying to finagle the already existing resources into an approximation of what we want it to look like, then the larger audience will be able to reach. And of course, this will allow us to create this vision that we have for the game and create a better experience for you, the player. And of course, you know, the closer we get to that vision, the better experience that you guys are going to have, because you guys get to see the game that we have in our heads, which is we think is pretty good. And yeah, it'd be good to have that in front of you, as opposed to having to use that pesky imagination. Anyway, on pure material stuff, how can you support us? At the base, you can support us by following us on Twitter at Team Fatalem, and you can also follow our Instagram, which is just TELUM FATALEM. And that will, and share our updates. You'll get updates through there. You'll know what's going on. You'll get, you'll know what's going on when. Of course, if you wanted to know that before everyone else, we do have a Patreon that is accessible via there. The base tier gives you access to the Patreon, so of course gives you access to the updates before everyone else, before we go public with Twitter and with Instagram. With the second tier up, so the initial tier is $4.50, the next tier up is $9.50, and that gives you access to our Discord server as well, and we'll also give you a special thanks a thanks at the end of the game. And we'll also give you a shout out whenever we do public updates like this, so people know that you are helping an indie game. And I'm going to stop shaking the camera there. And finally, if you don't, there is the third tier, which is $17.50, so $2.50 less than an OnlyFans subscription. By the way, follow us on OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding. And that allows you to not only get all those benefits I listed before, you get a special thanks, you get access to the VIP section of our Discord, which will give you access to music demos, it will give you access to sketches, and yeah, just exclusive content that no one else will have access to. It also means that you will get access to the standard edition of the final product. So that means that you have secured your copy, you'll get the Steam code sent to you, and when it comes out eventually, then you can be one of the first people to play it. And of course, I cannot stress this enough, any donations that are made via Patreon and that are also made via PayPal, so if you don't feel like the monthly option, if you just want to say, hey, here, I'll donate some money, this one-off payment, then you can go to our PayPal, and that money will go towards paying artists their commission to help us create this game. So yeah, that is what we are looking at, and that is how you can support us. So follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, support us on Patreon, or support us on PayPal. Feel free to donate on PayPal, rather. So, finally, to sort of show you how far along we've gone, all the music that you have heard in this stream today has been composed for the game. So there's been a lot of work that has already gone into this game, and there is a lot of work to be done moving forward. But if there's any proof that, you know, we're well into this, then take the tidbit of gameplay you've gotten today, as well as the knowledge that all music in this that you've heard today is for the game. There's been a lot of work done. A lot of work done. So these sort of updates, these public updates, are planned monthly, and you can view it live on Twitch, or we will be posting it up the next day on YouTube. So this is the best way to get your updates. Of course, there will be mini streams where you can view the sort of creation process that on the Patreon as well. So if you want to get access to that, then there we go. And then finally, I just wanted to say, for everyone that attended the stream, for everyone that is watching now, thank you so much for taking the time to view this, to show your support. Even just by watching this is fantastic. This has been a huge journey so far, and I've had some fantastic people come on the journey with me up to this point, and I really, really look forward to taking the rest of this journey with you. It's going to be a big one, but I think it's going to turn out to be something pretty fun. So watch this space, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, support us on Patreon, support us, just donate on PayPal. Or at the very least, if you have any questions with any of this, please comment below in the description. Please message me on Twitter. And yeah, I would love to see you take this journey with us. Have a lovely rest of your day, and peace.